Robert Spitzer, listening to Joe Biden and listening to what Nita just said about needing a holistic approach if you're going to try to end this vicious circle of fear, of violence, and of killing. Are we perhaps at a turning point?
Well, it could be, and for a couple of reasons. Not only the Floyd case from yesterday, but it coincides with the transition of presidential administrations. And President Biden has said very specifically that he not only wants to target gun-related issues, but one of the most important programs he's proposed to bring back, which has not received, I think, the attention it deserves, is funding anti-violence programs in localities around the country. These programs in the past have proven to be quite effective in reducing violence, and if you have less violence to begin with, less likely to have the necessity of or likelihood of a police response. And that process, these kinds of programs were short-circuited to a great degree because of the pandemic this past year. You didn't want people obviously going door to door or meeting in in-person groups, but this is starting to happen again, and Biden wants to provide significant funding for that in a bill that he's earnestly trying to get through Congress, and perhaps with bipartisan support, he hopes. And that, I think, would be a very important prong to get at some of the root social issues. But the bigger point is that there is no single all-encompassing answer. Institutional practices have to be changed. The militarization of the American police that began after 9/11, almost 20 years ago now, is another reason why we see police responding in a more militaristic fashion often to local emergencies and law enforcement problems, anti-poverty programs, housing programs, and gun measures as well. So it's a multi-pronged attack. There's a lot to do, but reason for hope because it's being addressed from multiple angles, I would say.
Multiple angles, but of course it's a battle that's only beginning. We're seeing there have been cuts in funding in a lot of big cities to police departments because they felt as though it was too much. One example, Austin, Texas. Last August, they decided to slash the police budget by 35%. Well, that was quickly answered by the unions. The Texas Municipal Police Association posting this giant billboard warning, Austin police defunded. Enter at your own risk. And we've seen it in places like New York City as well, André Rakoto. The police unions are very powerful.
No, and but the problem is in those areas, crime is not going down anyway. So cutting down the police funding is one thing, but how do you maintain policing at the same time? The truth is, there is a way to do things. Sometimes the police is called on some scenes where the police may not be the most appropriate tool to use, and some things may happen because of that. So probably those cities need to look again at where they use their police forces. But defunding the police without offering that alternative is probably not the answer either. Now
what's happened on that score? Because I looked at the statistics, and budgets for police departments have remained steady in America, whereas the rest of municipal budgets have gone way down over the last decade or two. So why hasn't more of that money gone to training so that these police officers are better trained?
They buy bigger, much better, much more efficient equipment, but they don't really need, by the way. I think that many of the training system, for one, is probably not adapted today to the situation in the United States. And for instance, we saw a lot of riots and civil unrest in the streets of the United States after George Floyd died. And for one, I don't see any specialized crowd control or riot control units in the U.S. police forces. This is a need because managing a crowd is a specialty. It's something that you need to train for all year long to be totally incapable of protecting your adversary from yourself and from himself. What I'm saying is, in France, we have crowd and riot control forces, gendarmerie mobile, and CRS forces for the national police. which are specialized on that particular duty. It costs money, it's expensive, but at least you save lives. During the Yellow Vests demonstrations in Paris, which were pretty rough at some time, no one died. No one died because we used specialized forces which train all year long for that particular type of action.